Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I am John Ramdeen. We've got all the news coming out of this weekend with the UFC debuting in Seoul, South Korea with a welterweight main event. Did Doo-Ho Choi live up to the hype? And how did Yoshihiro Akiyama perform after 14 months away? We'll chat those fights and more with Robin Black coming up next. The main event of the UFC's card in Seoul, South Korea featured a razor-close 5-round fight between welterweights Benson Henderson and George Masvidal. Both men put pressure on the other, with Masvidal showing great takedown defense throughout the fight. When he was taken down, he would pop right back up. Both men would utilize kicks to the body and legs, with Henderson's conditioning a key factor in some of the closer rounds. In the end, Henderson was awarded the split decision victory with scores all over the place. This was Henderson's final fight on his current UFC deal. Yoshihiro Akiyama received a hero's welcome by the audience in South Korea for his first fight since September of 2014 and entering the octagon at age 40 and meeting the unbeaten Alberto Mina. The first round was a very close round. Akiyama controlled the majority of the second, but a late flurry by Mina secured the round. However, it was also a gassed Mina with nothing left in the tank for the final 5 minutes of the fight, with Akiyama easily controlling the third frame. We had another split decision, this one going to Mina, and it was not a popular decision amongst the live crowd. And the main event card opened with featherweights Doo-Ho Choi and Sam Sicilia. The battle-tested Sicilia got some strikes off, but it was no answer for the incredible, accurate, and powerful strikes that were exhibited by Choi. After Choi connected with a right uppercut, he followed with a right hook, followed by a left hand that sent Sicilia down to the canvas, and was finished with more strikes as Choi improved to 13-1 and gained a lot of attention within the featherweight ranks of the UFC. Next week, we have a lot of mixed martial arts action to take care of. We have a ton of pre-fight shows as well as post-fight press conferences getting you ready for the big card UFC 194, which features the featherweight championship of the world between Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor. Joining me now is Mr. Robin Black. UFC was in Seoul, South Korea this past weekend. A lot of great action. Of course, Ben Henderson getting that split decision victory over the game George Masvidal. Akiyama somehow losing a split decision. Actually, I thought after watching the fight, that fight was clearly for Yoshihiro Akiyama. But then you and I watched it before work today, and you look at the damage Mina did at the end of round two. The first round was very, very close. I think at the time I had it for Alberto Mina, but going back and looking at the fight, it was very, very close. But the second round, the damage done to Akiyama, I think you have to give it to him. Cody said it best, though. It probably should have been a draw.
Yeah, but you want to give a guy a 10-8 round in the third, but according to the rules of judging, if a guy's really, really tired and kind of trying to delay things and kind of trying to stall, that's on the ref to deal with it. That's not on the judges to deal with it. So I think it was the right decision. Great fight, great night of fights, great morning of fights.
Yeah, I just look at it, though, the amount of damage Akiyama did throughout that fight to the leg of Mina. I think this fight should have been a draw because Mina had his moments and he capitalized. He hurt Akiyama, but Akiyama consistently hurt Mina throughout the fight. And I know the scoring doesn't really work that way, but I think if you look at what happened late in round two, you would have to give Akiyama credit for the damage done to the leg in round two as well as into round three.
If you went to Nick Diaz's house and, besides him doing cool nunchucks and stuff, you smoked a ball with him and had a conversation about how unfair the rules judging structure is, he would 100% agree with you. And that takes us to sort of what's winning a fight and what are winning rounds. And that's a debate that's really still open.
And you talk about winning rounds, we saw it in the main event. That's what Ben Henderson is very, very good at. He understands how to make sure that he is given 10 points after each round, and it comes down to creativity and mobility. I want to talk about creativity. Doo-Ho Choi, I think we predicted after watching his fights in the Deep organization, we had a feeling that once he made his way to the world's big stage, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, we'd see him do exactly what we saw him do in Japan.
Yeah, before we became a broadcast partner for the UFC, it's amazing how much things have changed in the last few years here at this great little fighting network. But before we did that, we did a ton of Japanese fighting, global, international fighting. So we were really able to be on the front end of who the best prospects in the world are. And Doo-Ho Choi was our #1 prospect 2.5 years ago on 5 rounds. Also on that list was Holly Holm in at number 7, who's now the champ. and Henry Cejudo, who will be fighting for the title. We really were able to...
Mamakaladov, I think
he may have been on that list too. And we were able to really see the future back then. Now, we're really looking at the present. And fast forward those couple of years, and Doo Ho Choi right now is a brilliant 145-pounder, and he really does have a lot of similarities to Conor McGregor. McGregor with his left hand and the timing and the way he sets it up. Doo Ho Choi with those right knuckles are just so good. He times you, makes you miss, and drills you. Or in this case, he just identified that Sam Sicilia was using the level change, but not really meaning to shoot. He was using it to get Choi to respond. Choi read that and was like, not only am I not going to respond, but I'm going to time your level change and I'm going to knock you out.
Dong Young Kim also looking sensational, getting the stoppage victory. It seems like South Korea, a hot market for the UFC. Imagine what happens if the Korean Zombie comes back.
The Korean Zombie, Stun Gun, the Korean Superboy, these are three not only legit top 10 talents, and I think in Dong Young Kim's case, a top 3 or 4. He's really very unique. He's a category of 1 to fight, but 3 super exciting fighters too. Things are good in Korea.
And you look at Ben Henderson too. He is of Korean descent. Is that something the UFC would look at in the future? He's now 170 pounds. You put Dong Young Kim up against Ben Henderson. I know he's now a free agent, so to speak, and he could be going to Bellator. Do you anticipate that's a move that he's going to make? Is he the type of fighter that says, you know what, I want to face the best fighters of the world. I want to take on the Robbie Lawlers and the Rory McDonalds. Or does he say, you know what, I can test new waters, I can make a couple of dollars and not have to face those animals and make the move over to the Bellator organization?
The UFC is where it's at for him, and you know, it's interesting because he kind of tipped his hand and said, oh, I want to retire here, but I do want to check it out. If you walk into your boss's office tomorrow and ask for a raise, one of the very common things globally in business is to say, go get another offer. That is a common thing in any line of business. They'll ask you to do that. If that's kind of what he's trying to do, is go get that offer and go back, hey, Dana, look, they wanted to pay me this, and then maybe the UFC will match it. That's probably the strategy. I want to see him fight George St. Pierre. I really do. George is only coming back for a super fight. We know that. Those two guys are so similar and yet so different. I really.
But is that a super fight? I think from a, you look at the hardcore fan standpoint, maybe from a fighter standpoint, how they match up physically and their fight IQ and so on and so forth. But when it comes to selling pay-per-views, yeah, George St. Pierre will sell pay-per-views on his own. But as a fight with Ben Henderson, a super fight where everybody needs to see this.
Yeah, well, if it's Ben Henderson or it's Anderson Silva, more people definitely want to see Anderson Silva fight, and I'd like to see that one too. So, or hey, while we're at it, why don't we have Ben Henderson fight Anderson Silva? It's so many great fights.
I think what we're saying is, George, come on, man. Do us a favor. Come back to the sport of mixed martial arts. There's still a ton of work you got to do. That's it for us. Don't go anywhere. More Fight News Now Extra is still coming your way.
This program is brought to you by Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, available December 1st, 2015.